Okay, so this I just finished looking at my notes, and we don't actually perform the hypothesis test in 7-1. We wait until we get to 7-2. So you've learned everything you need for 7-1. So this is a good time to see if you've learned everything that you need to know. So all of this is when you read these directions, you should understand what it's asking. Okay. So we know that we have a claim. And so we read this down here. Um, we know we're going to write the word claim. This is our claim. What is our claim? Okay. Now, when you read this, in this section, I don't think we have to do it in all the others, but in this section, remember our claim can be about means, it can be about variances, it can be about standard deviation, and it can be about proportions. Okay, I think that's all that we had in this section. That should be up here, right here. And be sure you understand that they're talking about the population parameter. That's the thing that they're asking us to find out. This test statistic, we'll deal with that next section. But just remember that these are the ones that we talked about, and the only one that's not here, of course, is the standard deviation. And that's because this one right here and this one right here are really the only two we're going to do. We're not going to do any testing on these two. But anyway, and it's showing you right here that in 7-2, we're going to be doing the population parameter is going to be mean. We're going to be using mean. And we're going to know the population standard deviation. In section 3, we're going to be using T because we don't know, very similar to our, what was that, confidence intervals. When we knew the population standard deviation, we use Z. When we don't know the population standard deviation, we use T. And then when we're using proportions, we use Z. So we're not even doing section 7.5, all right? So when we're working these problems, and some of these maybe have use these two variables right here to set up the claim. Remember that most of our claims that we're going to be doing, this is 7.2 and 7.3. And this one right here is 7.4, and that's all we're doing. So we won't do these two, even if they do them here when we actually start completing the test. Remember, all we're doing right here is setting the test up. We haven't done the test. And when we start doing the test, we won't do a test on these two. Okay. So there's the keyword right there, proportion. So that's a P. Here is the proportion. So that's going to be 0.61. And now we've got to figure out what the mathematical symbol is. Okay, so we know we're going to have our claim is something about a proportion, and we know it's going to be 0.61. But now what we need is what relationship? Is it not? Is it less than? Is it greater than? What is the math symbol that goes right here? So we're going to have to read this very carefully to see. A school publicizes, so the school is claiming that students who are involved in at least one, be careful right here, you guys. Okay, when it says at least one, some people are going to say, oh, at least, that means great. That's not talking about the proportion, that's describing who they're talking about. So at least one right there is describing who they're talking about. This is a description of who they are making a claim about. This is not describing the proportion. They're saying that the kids they're talking about are in at least one extracurricular activity. Doesn't have anything to do with this, okay? So here, if we skip all of the descriptions, okay, this is a description too. This is part of the description, all right? If we skip all the descriptions, it's saying that their claim is the proportions of students that's doing something is, there's the keyword right there, let me highlight, is 61%. So that's how I know to put P is 61%. Now, listen, I know if this confused you, I completely understand and totally get it. You just have to practice. When you see those words, don't automatically think, oh, that's going to be my symbol. You got to make sure you're reading it in the context of the situation. This time was not a mathematical, at least, this was a description. We are describing the people that we're talking about. Okay, so we've got P for proportion, equals for is, 0.61 for 61%. That's our claim. So we summed that whole sentence up to being P is equal to 0.61. Okay, now remember we have, since this is equality, then we are going to label this as which one? If it contains equality, it is the null. The null is the only one that contains equality. Okay, now what's the opposite of is 61? The opposite is not 61. Okay, this one does not contain equality, so it is my alternative. All right, now to determine what kind of test it is, we look at the alternative. We look at this one. It is not equal, so what kind of test is that? That's a two-tail test. And I've been spelling the word tail wrong. It's a two-tail test. As I was writing it a while ago, I thought, I wonder if I'm spelling it right. But okay, so I was spelling it wrong. I'm not a speller. It doesn't bother me at all. Just spell it right for me. Okay, so we're finished with that one. Let's go down to this one. Here's the claim. My claim is the mean for an oil change is less than, where's my, less than 15 minutes. Okay, so mu, there's my symbol, is less than, that's this symbol right here, 15 minutes. All right, does this statement, does the claim right here contain equality? It does not contain equality. It says it's less than 15 minutes. So since it does not contain equality, we're going to label this as the alternative hypothesis. Now, what's the opposite of the mean being less than 15 minutes? Well, if it's not less than 15 minutes, it's going to be greater than 15 minutes. But what about being 15 minutes exactly? This one did not say anything about being 15 minutes exactly. It strictly said less than 15 minutes. So if this one does not contain 15, then this one should contain 15. One of these has to have the bar underneath it, and you have to use the verbal description to determine. This one did not have the bar. That means that one has to. This one is the one that contains equality. So this is my null hypothesis. Now, this is the one that we look at to determine what kind of test. It is a less than symbol, so that means it is a left tail test. I spelled it right this time. All right, last one. Company, here's the claim. Company advertises that the mean, there's the symbol, and is more than, okay, so there's the math symbol that we're going to use, and then there's the number. So the claim is the mean is more than, and then we're going to say 18. Okay? So the claim is that the mean is more than 18. This does not contain equality. So since it does not contain equality, we are labeling it as the alternative. Now, what's the opposite of saying is more than 18? Well, that's less than 18. But one of these has to have the bar underneath it. This one does not, because it doesn't say is 18 or more. If it had said a company advertises that the mean life of its furnace is 18 or more, then it would include the 18. The 18 right now is not, it doesn't say that it's going to last 18 years. It says it's going to last more than 18 years. So if this one does not have the bar, this one has to have the bar. Okay. So since this one contains equality, it's going to be the null hypothesis. This is the one that we look at to determine what kind of tail test it is. It's greater than, so we're going to label this as a right tail test. All right, now we'll go on to section 2 to actually, oh, you know what we were supposed to do? We were supposed to also sketch a normal distribution curve. Sorry, I didn't do that. So here's all we're going to do. We're going to draw the curve. And all we're going to do is say, okay, we know that the p-value right here, so this is a p number line, the p-value is 0.61, and we know it's a two-tail test. So all I want you to do, and yes, we're just kind of randomly picking a spot, a two-tail test, and that's just shade that it's a two-tail test. That's all you have to do on that one. I'm sorry I forgot to do that. Now let's go back down to this one. Let's shade. Let's draw our standard curve. I don't know why my left side's always a little bit shorter than my right side. Okay, this is mean right here. So this is 15. It goes right in the middle, and it's a left tail test. So we're going to come over here and shade the left tail. Okay, and then this one is the mean again. The mean is 18, and it's a right tail test, so we're just going to shade this. Okay. All right, so now in the next section, we've set the test up. We've written the claim. We've identified it as either alternative or null. We've determined what kind of test it is. The next thing we're going to do is learn how to actually conduct the test.